Well, we finally have everything up and going. A little bit of some glitchiness happening. I understand it was muted for a little bit, but everything is working. And let me tell you, folks, we pumped out a few videos on TikTok. And let me just say, it seems like a lot of people aren't happy with Gavin Newsom in the state of California, because the guy has caused crisis after crisis after crisis. He has led the state right into the ground. And why is that such a big deal for everybody else around the country? Well, let me tell you, he's probably going to be running in 2028. And this guy is slimy. Oh, he's good. Oh, he's real good. And a very big possibility that he could win. I don't want him to win. I don't want to see it happen. It makes me worried, but we will have to see what happens with it. But he is terrible. Good morning, Patriots. It's really good to see all of you. We're having a little bit of some network connection. So let me know if anything is happening or anything is wrong. Yes, some people are saying Rumble is not working. Rumble is a little bit glitchy on my end. It must be working since I'm streaming still, but it is a little wonky, a little bit weird. But we are over at YouTube nonetheless. Let's jump into the big news of the day, and that is China trade talks, I guess. Trump's envoy that went to Switzerland. Trump's envoy teased China breakthrough, stressed how quickly it came together. We did 2 videos over the weekend that, to be fair, were from our Dark MAGA podcast. If you're not a part of Dark MAGA, it just shows why you want to be, because those videos that I uploaded are actually doing pretty well. We're getting 20 to 50 views every hour, baby. China ain't doing well. China is struggling. China want money. China want factory. China want to be up and running. We need the good. America good. China good. Make good product. But in all seriousness, no, China is really crippled right now. Not only was their mortgage, or I guess I should say the real estate industry, completely collapsing, like nothing even remotely near to what we experienced in 2008. It's way worse than that, you guys. Way worse. Like I said, you got to check the video out where we bring you the data, we show you the evidence, we show you the proof. But people are doing running on banks, and banks put a hold on their withdrawals. They couldn't even get money out. Quite frankly, the bank didn't have the money. Not to mention that, but it wasn't just the Chinese people that were putting their money in real estate. I'm talking all their life savings. Their retirement is having wealth through their real estate, not through their market like we do here in the United States. So when that collapses, you got no money. No money mean no food. No food mean no nothing. You got a massive problem on your hand. Now, this all took place before Donald Trump put the tariffs in. Well, now before they were hurting, you think they're hurting a little bit now? Factory closed. Factory got no money to pay worker. Factory effed. So now they don't have no money to pay their workers. Their factories are shutting down. There's protests in the street. You're basically having something like Tiananmen Square possibility all over again. Now, that's a big problem in a communist-ran country, because communist-ran country loves to have power over their people. But once you start losing that power, things go south. So they want to make a trade deal big time. And by the way, they have to make a trade deal because they are crippled. Well, after 2 days of talks in Switzerland, President Donald Trump's envoy touted what they said was significant movement towards reaching trade deal with China. Now, Donald Trump allegedly is going to be coming out in about an hour and talking about this trade deal. I don't know if they've made a deal themselves. We'll find out. Or if we're just on the pathway of working stuff out and there is going to be a deal, because right here, it just says that Scott Bessent told reporters on Sunday that there was, quote, substantial progress and a great deal of productivity in the discussion with the Chinese officials. So here he is saying this. This is what went viral over the weekend. I would imagine the markets are going to react positively to this. Now, here we go.
That led to a great deal of the productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, 2 vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself. And I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. And I think that led to...
And that briefing, again, is, as he mentioned, today. We will see what comes of that. Now, Trump did mention how he was thinking about dropping the tariffs. Chinese Premier Heng Lifeng said that talks marked an important first step and promised a joint statement. As it stands, the United States imposed an overall tariff rate on Chinese goods at 145%. Beijing responded by raising tariffs on goods to 125%. Chinese delegation reportedly included President Xi Jinping's top security official, a sign the discussion broached the fentanyl crisis in addition to trade. Like I said, we'll see what comes of it, but that was Scott Bessent. We also have White House press secretary on the lawn this morning talking about this trade deal. Here she is with Brian Kilmeade.
Extraordinary first step in the right direction. And thanks to the strength of President Trump, Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer were able to cut this initial deal with China. China agreed to reduce their tariffs on the United States by 115%. They also agreed to continue having discussions about opening Chinese markets to American-made products and goods. And they also agreed to continue seriously discussing the grave impact that Chinese-produced fentanyl is having right here in the United States and our people. So this is a great first step for the American public, and Secretary Bessent, Ambassador Greer, and of course President Trump will continue negotiations with China so we can hopefully inevitably get to a fair and comprehensive big trade deal.
Now there's more coming out from Fox as well regarding the trade deal and Caroline Leavitt. So let's go ahead and listen to a little bit more of what she had to say, because this is going to allow us to see into what maybe Donald Trump will talk about in about an hour. Well, here she is again.
Learned overnight the Trump administration securing another win, announcing a major tariff deal with China. Trade will be one of the major issues on the agenda when the president makes his high-stakes trip, and the first one to the Middle East. He's going overseas today. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt joins us now. Caroline, we're just mentioning there's probably 7 major stories. I know I'm going to disappoint somebody by not bringing it up. First off, your reaction, and what could you tell us about the China deal that has tariffs dropping from 145, 125 respectively to 30 and 10?
This is an extraordinary first step in the right direction. And thanks to the strength of President Trump, Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer were able to cut this initial deal with China. China agreed to reduce their tariffs on the United States by 115%. They also agreed to continue having discussions about opening Chinese markets to American-made products and goods. And they also agreed to continue seriously discussing the grave impact that Chinese-produced fentanyl is having right here in the United States and our people. So this is a great first step for the American public, and Secretary Bessent, Ambassador Greer, and of course President Trump will continue negotiations with China so we can hopefully inevitably get to a fair and comprehensive big trade deal.
Do you know yet, Caroline, if they're going to unfreeze their rare earth and the magnets that we use for our technical equipment as well as our military equipment?
I do understand that was part of the discussion, but I also know that the administration is working overtime 24/7 with a dedicated team to onshore that very critical supply chain here at home. We need to be producing those magnets, those rare earth minerals, and also look at pharmaceuticals, look at semiconductors. There are critical supply chains that we have been dependent on other countries for far too long. So while we continue to negotiate these good and fair trade deals, we will also continue to boost our domestic manufacturing here at home to strengthen our national security.
All right, so we got the UK deal, the framework for a China deal. Is there another deal queued up, ready to go today before you leave?
Well, look, we told you the next 100 days would consist.
So we'll see if there's more trade deals underway, but we have more news to cover. We would love to hear Caroline talk as much as possible. It's always nice to see a pretty lady talking and, well, quite frankly, being clear. Remember what we were dealing with the last 4 years with Karine Jean-Pierre Sideshow Bob. So let's go through a few rounds here with Scott Bessent. It says we have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. So this is what's coming out right now here. So this is quite interesting.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%. We had very robust discussions. Both sides showed great respect. It was a chance for me to meet the Chinese delegation. The vice premier I had previously had only a video call with. Ambassador Jameson was familiar with two of the other leaders on the delegation from his previous time. So there was very good personal interaction. Both countries represented their national interests very well. We concluded that we have shared interest, and we both have an interest in balanced trade. The U.S. will continue moving towards that.
I don't really like that answer, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. Is one of the issues that happened in Donald Trump's first administration was something very similar, where Xi Jinping was dragging his feet through the entire time. Well, I guess up until COVID. And they never really got anything done. And I'm starting to see something very similar happening here when I hear, well, we're putting a 90-day pause on these high-level tariffs. What I mean by high percentage tariffs. And then we're going to kind of bring everything down a little bit. It sounds to me like, yeah, we're in the process of negotiations, but 90 days seems a little bit long. You also have Ambassador Greer here talking about how both the Chinese and United States agreed to work constructively together. So this sounds like an ongoing negotiation regarding the fentanyl, but also with trade itself. Sounds like we're dragging our feet again.
And so today, with this agreement, we come to agreement that that our reciprocal tariff rate will go down to 10% on the United States side, so it goes down 115%. We enter into a 90-day pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove the countermeasures that they have in place. To be very clear, other measures that the United States has put in place in the past, whether it's tariff measures from 2018 or since, tariffs under other statutory authorities, tariffs related to fentanyl, those remain unchanged for now to the side. I'll just make one point, is that both the Chinese and the United States agreed to work constructively together on fentanyl, and there's a positive path forward there as well.
I don't know. They don't seem anywhere near as uppity as they were with the trade deal with the United Kingdom. Now, if you recall, the trade deal with the United Kingdom was something allegedly historic, where the United Kingdom was opening their markets to us, which is such a big deal. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the Chinese markets have not opened themselves up to us. So really nothing has actually happened here other than, hey, we've agreed to a pause. Let's bring the tariffs down. So nothing has happened. Nobody's really gotten slapped around a little bit. And I think China should be slapped around. Mind you, they're the ones that released a massive virus upon the rest of the globe, and they're acting like they're holding all the cards. Trump has them by the throat. Again, they're collapsing, folks. Don't listen to the mainstream media on all this. It is wild how much they're in cahoots with the CCP. It is head spinning. Now, he says the upside here, meaning Scott Bassett, says the upside is a surprise for me this weekend was the level of Chinese agreement on the fentanyl crisis. Now, I like that because it stops the fentanyl coming from into the United States, but there's nothing substantial here.
This does not include any sector-specific tariffs that have been put across all of our trading partners. And as the ambassador said, I think he would agree with me that the upside surprise for me from this weekend was the level of Chinese engagement on the fentanyl crisis in the United States. They brought the Deputy Minister for Security, Public Safety, who is not traditionally part of the trade team or the negotiating team, and he had a very robust and highly detailed discussion. This does not.
Now, I want to be fair on Donald Trump's side. I mean, one of the main reasons why he did this was, yes, there was a trade imbalance, but also something he kept hounding was the fentanyl crisis. It makes sense why they wanted to bring it up. Now, a CNBC reporter was having boots on the ground, and she was saying, hey, here in Geneva, we witnessed marathon talks over the last 2 days, and they've yielded a major breakthrough. So, I mean, I guess having conversation is better than no conversation.
Here in Geneva, we witnessed marathon talks over the last 2 days, 8 hours of discussions on Saturday, several hours more yesterday, and they've yielded a major breakthrough. As you noted, we've seen the U.S. and China now agree to slash tariffs for 90 days. So both sides have agreed to cut tariffs by 115%. In terms of China's tariffs on U.S. goods, it's now going to come down to 10%. The U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods going to drop from 145% to 30%, because you've still got some levies on fentanyl in there. During the 90 days, the Trump administration, Secretary Scott Bessent, saying the two sides will negotiate. The U.S. will continue moving toward a more balanced trading relationship. Here in Geneva,
So there's not much there. I don't know if they hyped it up. I don't want to say they hyped it as much as the UK, but you have Fox, or rather not Fox. I always think this guy's from Fox. You have CNBC continuing their conversation with Scott Bessent here. This is kind of like, I always picture this guy as like almost their Fox business, but it's not. By the way, the markets are reacting very positively right now, as you could imagine.
Joe, I would characterize it very much as President Trump, the equivalent of President Trump's relationship with Party Chairman Xi. They have a good relationship, but they both advocate strongly for their respective countries, for their respective citizens. So it was always respectful. We have the two largest economies in the world. We were firm and we moved forward. We tried to identify shared interest. We came with a list of problems that we were trying to solve. And I think we did a good job on that. And again, this is a 90-day pause. For our tariff program, we had a plan, we had a process, and now what we have with the Chinese is a mechanism to avoid an upward tariff pressure like we did last time. So this is a 90-day pause.
He's being so careful with his words, and it's really fascinating to me to see the difference in his language and the way that he's talking, again, from this trade talks and negotiations to ultimately the United Kingdom's negotiations. I'm going to guess it doesn't seem like it's maybe even going that well. I think maybe they said, hey, let's just, figure this out over 90 days. If we can't, then, hey, you know what? Everything's just going to go back. I don't know, man. This doesn't seem right. It seems a little bit too scripted for my liking, but hey, we'll have to see here. We will. So all they're doing is, and I mean, there's a ton of videos, folks. They're on Joe Scarborough's MSNBC. They're on CNN. They're on Fox. They're all touting the same exact thing, that there's a pause for 90 days. I would continue to show you the same clips, but I want to get to at least the National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, who you guys all have seen. It's the guy that clearly is always having the sniffles and always sick. He talks about coming to the table and finally stunning how quickly they're moving and how dramatic the changes are, just kind of echoing the same thing Donald Trump would say.
I think it's actually quite similar to the things that we've been seeing in the other negotiations. We actually have a fresh start with China. That's the way to think about these negotiations, that we've come in with these reciprocal tariffs. We've described the non-tariff barriers and tariffs that disadvantage American workers. And folks are coming to the table, and it's really stunning how quickly they're moving and how dramatic the changes are. Imagine we're selling beef in the UK again, and China has the 10% tariff, reciprocal tariff that we're charging charging the UK. All of this has happened because of President Trump's leadership. He's shown people that, look, we're not going to stand for this ridiculous behavior that we've been observing over the years. But then people come in and say, yeah, you got us. And then they work out something that's good for both countries. And so I think it's really a very historic fresh start in the relationship between the U.S. and China, given how much movement there was over the weekend. I think it's.
We'll see. I don't know. It just sounds a little fishy to me is all. I don't know. Smells a little fishy. Well, let's get into a little bit of other news. That was the trade talks. Again, Donald Trump should be live in about 45-ish minutes talking about this trade deal. We'll see what comes of it. Nothing really happened other than the tariffs being lowered. Now, Trump is defending a $400 million flying palace offered as a gift from Qatar, free of charge, allegedly. President Donald Trump's administration is in talks to accept a luxury jet from Qatar. According to multiple reports, a controversial move that the commander-in-chief defended in a post to social media. On Sunday, ABC News first broke the news about the Middle Eastern country possibly gifting the so-called flying palace, estimated to be worth $400 million, with an announcement expected next week. Amid a flurry of critics, including many who generally support Trump, the president dismissed concerns in a post on Truth Social. Quote, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift, free of charge, of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody could do that. The Dems are world-class losers, MAGA. Exactly right, Mr. Trump. They're going to complain about anything and everything. We get a gift, $400 million, and they want us to pay for it. Oh, boo-hoo. Sources informed ABC News that the United States government was preparing to receive the Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet from Trump to use, or for Trump to use, as a new Air Force One shortly before he leaves office, and after which it would be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. Now, I don't want him to use this, to be fair, because I don't trust Qatar. I don't trust other countries. I would imagine that thing has bugs everywhere in it. Not literal bugs. I'm talking about spy bugs, listening in on conversation style bugs. But Qatar's media to the United States told the Washington Post that the report was inaccurate and stressed that nothing has been finalized. The possible transfer of an aircraft for temporary use of as Air Force One is currently under consideration between Qatar's Ministry of Defense and the U.S. Department of Defense, but the matter remains under review by the respective legal departments and no decision has been made right now. Well, Democrats are just completely outraged over this. They're freaking out. Democrats argue Trump must receive approval from Congress for the new plane that could come from Qatar. Oh, really? So Democratic lawmakers argue on Sunday that the president must first receive congressional approval for a new Boeing 747-8 plane that reportedly could come from the government of Qatar. According to several reports, the administration is preparing to use the luxury liner, as we said, for Air Force One. Quote, Trump must seek Congress's consent to take this $300 to $400 million gift from Qatar. The Constitution is perfectly clear. No present of any kind whatsoever from a foreign state without congressional permission, a gift you use for 4 years and then deposit it in your library is still a gift and a grift. Jasmine, well, might as well be Jasmine, right? Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. This is the same guy, by the way, that said that they would do everything in their power, basically, to make sure that Donald Trump is not president and that they'll try to do everything in their power to remove him if he is. So this guy is a slimy guy. Boy, he is like Adam Schiff slimy. He is a gross. Senator Bernie Sanders argued that accepting the plane would be unconstitutional. I don't know who needs to hear this, but no. Donald Trump cannot accept a $400 million flying palace from the royal family of Qatar. Not only is this partially corrupt, it is blatantly unconstitutional. I'm not so sure why that's unconstitutional. We receive gifts all the time. We receive a ton of gifts. So I guess all those are unconstitutional. It's just that you don't like that Biden never got a gift from other foreign countries because they don't like Biden. Nobody did. Trump, who reportedly will use the new plane as Air Force One again, and as you guys are mentioning in the chat, it's not just a gift or money issue, it's a safety issue. I agree with you, all of you. But I hope that Trump doesn't use it And by the way, we should all be praying for Donald Trump's trip to the Middle East. I don't trust any of those countries, and I don't trust them with Donald Trump's safety. Neither should the Secret Service. And thank God Trump doesn't just have the Secret Service. He also has his own security as well, I believe, still as president of the United States. Now, there's also historic peace talks going on between Zelensky and Putin. President Donald Trump appears to be on the cusp of bringing the leaders of Ukraine and Russia together for a historic meeting to negotiate the end of the years-long war between their two countries. Now, this isn't just any meeting, folks. This is a face-to-face, looking at each other meeting. Putin and Zelensky talking to each other face-to-face. And I think that is a huge escalation in getting this war figured out. In a post on Truth Social on Sunday, just yesterday, Trump urged Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to agree on a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Turkey next week. Now, this was brought up by Putin himself to have a face-to-face meeting, which is surprising. President Putin of Russia doesn't want to have a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, but rather wants to meet Thursday in Turkey to negotiate a possible end of the bloodbath. Ukraine should agree to this immediately. At least they should be able to determine whether or not a deal is possible. And if it is not, European leaders and the U.S. will know where everything stands and can proceed accordingly. I'm starting to doubt that Ukraine will make a deal with Putin, who's too busy celebrating the victory of World War II, which could not have been won, not even close, without the United States of America have the meeting now. Soon after Zelensky said he was ready to meet Putin. And I'm sure Donald Trump had to make that phone call to probably get the guy to meet with Putin. Now, I told you, remember, and there's proof of recording saying this, Zelensky's going to have to lose land here. Ukraine is going to lose land. That's what Putin wants. Now, the question is, how much land is he going to have to give up here to stop this? Now, here's the problem with it all, is where does that stop or where does that end? Is that this could just happen next year again, where Putin invades, or next president comes in, another invasion happens, and he takes more land and more land and more land. And then after a while, there is no Ukraine. It's just all of Russia. We await a full and lasting ceasefire starting from tomorrow to provide the necessary basis for diplomacy. There's no point in prolonging the killings, and I will be waiting for Putin in Turkey on Thursday. Personally, I hope that this time the Russians will not look for excuses. The Washington Post reported on Saturday that the United States and its Western allies demanded Putin agree to a 30-day ceasefire starting on Monday or face more sanctions on Russia's energy and banking sectors. Putin proposed a meeting in Istanbul. I don't know why we would utilize this as a tactic and not have already utilized it. I don't know why we're not imposing the most strong force of sanctions on Russia's energy and banking sectors as it already is. That's a little bit odd to me. We should be putting the full weight of our boot on Russia and really making them feel it. But I don't know, maybe they're holding it in their pouches so they can bring it out for things like this. I'm not sure. We're committed to serious negotiations with Ukraine to remove the root causes of the conflict, Putin said in a news conference. According to the newspaper, I do not exclude that during these negotiations, I will be possible to agree on some new ceasefire. Earlier on Sunday, Trump signaled a breakthrough was imminent. I hope that they get this figured out because a lot of young men are unfortunately passing away all for soil, dirt, land. And it's disgusting that in 2025, we're still fighting over land and dirt and soil. It's a joke. And people are losing their lives in mass numbers. It's ridiculous. So now we also have other peace talks happening. Trump admin announces major development in India-Pakistan conflict, choosing the path of peace. This is what broke over the weekend as well. President Donald Trump on Saturday morning announced the United States has mediated a full and immediate ceasefire between India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed rivals. And that was my question when they released that they were going to have a immediate and full ceasefire. I don't want to say coming to peace, but my question was how much of the United States really had involvement in this. After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire, Trump posted on social media. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh, he's charming, isn't he? Trump's the best. Look it. Joey could never. Trump is the president of peace, man, and that's all he wants. He wants 4 years of peace while he's in office. Just nothing but everybody doing well for each other. You saw an example of this, not just through India and Pakistan here, but you also saw an example of this in his first administration when he was trying to figure out everything with the Middle East, with the Abraham Accords, him going down there and everybody recognizing Israel before COVID started. All this stuff was happening. And well, Democrats just kind of destroyed it by having a weak president in office. And then it's almost as if, you guys notice this? It's almost as if they've completely forgot that they voted for Joey and Kamala Harris. It's almost as if they are completely disregarding the last 4 years of what they did to this country, and that everything is just Donald Trump's fault because he's so terrible. Oh God, he's so awful. He wants peace. Oh God, he's so awful. My question too is, now that you have these negotiations going on with China, that we're actually talking to them and the economy is coming back, quite possibly, folks, we could see by the end of the day, the economy could be higher, meaning the stock market. I shouldn't say really economy. The stock market could be higher than when Donald Trump took office. So what are they going to say? All these lefty progressives on TikTok, on YouTube, these influencers, these jokes. He's ruining the economy. He's ruining the country. I don't know what to do. I'm retired. What are they going to say now? What are they going to say? I'm curious myself. Secretary of State Marco Rubio provided more details in the matter via X, writing that he and J.D. Vance were able to get both sides to agree to a ceasefire and to start talks on a broad set of issues at a neutral site. Again, can we give it up for Marco Rubio? This guy, for me, was the most underrated individual in the Trump administration, and the guy is coming out on top, man. I will continue to say this. If you can get Israel and Hamas things sorted out, they already got the Pakistan-India thing sorted out. If you can get the Russia and Ukraine thing sorted out, I think there is a strong case that Marco Rubio should be the front runner of the Republican Party in 2028. And I'm talking a strong case. I don't know how you couldn't. Because you could say all you want, well, J.D. Vance was involved. Not in the capacity that Marco Rubio is. This is Marco Rubio's sole job. And the guy is killing it right now. I mean, he is other than Trump, he's one of the top guys in the administration easily. Over the past 48 hours, Vance and I have agreed and have engaged with senior Indian and Pakistani officials, including Prime Minister, blah, 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 all these people. I am pleased to announce that the governments of India and Pakistan have agreed to an immediate ceasefire and to start talks on a broad set of issues at a neutral site, which is always great. You're seeing a lot of movement taking place here in global affairs, foreign affairs, which is always nice to see that people are willing to get along and not fighting with each other. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, I know a lot of people ask for this, but if you could hit that thumbs up button over there on YouTube, it really does help support our videos, and it pushes our videos out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. If you haven't already, again, I got to plug my own stuff here because we're not sponsored really by anybody. I do have a website called baldbrad.com. You can get yourself some merchandise. We have a book. Don't feel like you have to go over there, but it is a website that I created myself. I didn't have somebody make this. So if you're like, hey, this is kind of like a little, janky and weird. Look, I made it myself. And we got a store here. We got a merch store with coffee mugs if you want to drink what I'm drinking here. I drink 1775 coffee out of the delicious mug. And I own these shirts, by the way. I wear my merch as well. I don't know if that's self-aggrandizing, if that's the word. But we got a lot of goodies for you over here. And lastly, we also have a book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. If you haven't read this book, man, I wrote a book that I would want to read. A sit down. It's going to be quick, and it's going to prepare you for arguments and also bring to light the crazy shenanigans from the progressive left on how they're destroying this country from the inside out. I utilize the analogy of the Trojan horse itself and how it destroyed the great city of Troy from the inside out. We are the great city. We're the last city on this shiny hill. And well, yeah. So head over to baldbrad.com, get yourself a copy. Great book idea, by the way. Great book, great gift idea for people. And it's always nice just to have books sitting around. And with that being said, here we go. Transportation Secretary clears air on whether Elon tried to fire air traffic controllers. Now, personally, I don't really care, but let's see what this has to say anyway, so that we're updated on what the hell is going on with the arguments of the progressive left. So on Sunday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who's doing a phenomenal job, by the way, he's going to be revamping our systems and bringing us back into the new age here of technology, confronted the question on whether Elon Musk tried to fire air traffic controllers. The New York Times reported back in March that there was a clash with in which Duffy vented about staffers from Musk's Department of Government Efficiency DOGE effort trying to lay off air traffic controllers at a time when the Transportation Department was dealing with multiple plane crashes. Musk reportedly denied the claim. Quote, did Elon Musk ask you to cut off air traffic controllers directly? NBC Kristen Welker asked Duffy during a Meet the Press interview. Let me see if I got that clip here for all of you. I do not, which is fine. Let's read the transcript then. So listen, like, we are having a conversation about who do we preserve? And again, I want in those probationary employees to preserve air traffic controllers. We went back and forth and Elon agreed, the president agreed. And of course, you want to keep air traffic controllers. Excuse me, we're trying to hire more of them. Yeah, but I think the key is, can your government be more efficient? We've had a massive expansion of government. You can actually be more efficient and still accomplish the mission of safety, which is what I think we can do. And actually, we are doing just that. Welker pressed Duffy again, said, did Elon Musk, though, initially ask you to cut air traffic controllers? And Duffy said no, which was clear. And did you dispute that? He said no. Did you have a disagreement with him about that? Welker followed up. Like, talk about just trying to fish for something. You know what I mean? Trying to fish for anything. Just really sifting through all the garbage to try to find out, you know, is there a diamond there? Is there anything? Did you have anything that was remotely negative about Elon Musk that you could tell my viewers that salivate over this? He's just clear, like, no, there's nothing here. No, I mean, we want air traffic controllers. We want nothing. So you could just see her fishing. And it's sad to see what's happened to her. She used to at least be somewhat remotely unbiased. Now she's just gone full leftist, man. Now she's just a shill for the Democrat Party completely. And what I mean by that is I've watched a lot of, if not 90% of the White House press briefings over the last 4 years. And she used to be a White House correspondent. She used to sit in the front row. And she used to ask really good questions. Not always. Just in the same way, she's not always a great reporter. But just watching her go full-blown lefty is really insane. It's almost cringy to watch. It's like as if she like signed her signature in blood and sacrificed herself to some evil entity, meaning Lucifer. It's really weird to see. And it kind of almost freaks you out. You know, there's always those conspiracy theorists about the Illuminati. You know, there's some rogue institution out there that has people sign off on their life and you give it up for some evil being. I mean, that would be a case to make right there, utilizing her and watching her flip like she has. I'm not going to say she was always an unbiased reporter. That's not what I'm saying. But boy, at least she was at least a Democrat, middle-ish person. Not no more. Not no more. Well, Trump is traveling abroad, as we have mentioned many of times. This is his fourth round of U.S. Iran talks, ends as Trump set to embark on historic Middle East tour. Again, pray for the president today, folks. This is a little bit nerve-wracking for me because I don't trust the people in the Middle East with Donald Trump's safety, nor should anybody else, nor should Donald Trump himself. With President Donald Trump set to leave for the Middle East on Monday, talks between U.S. and Islamic Republic of Iran concluded a fourth round of negotiations in Oman on Sunday over Tehran's illicit nuclear weapons program. There was satellite imagery that I looked at over the weekend, and it shows full-blown nuclear sites, folks. And look, can we just say goodbye to those? Just get rid of them. A day before the start of talks, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei welcomed chants of death to America in Tehran. Now, I always utilize this. This is an exact quote from the Ayatollah Khamenei, that death to America is not just a slogan, it's a policy. I'm going to say that again. This is his quote, and I memorized it. Death to America is not just a slogan, it's a policy. These people parade in the streets chanting this. And by the way, not just their streets, but also in their government chambers, they chant this. Again, how do we know this? We showed video of it. Not just the chanting of the streets, which you've all seen, right? Where they puppet the president up and they light the American flag on fire and they're chanting death to America and all this stuff. But we showed a clip of them chanting this in their chambers. Your judgment is right, Khamenei told a crowd of supporters who called for the destruction of the United States. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson said the nuclear talks were difficult but useful. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss the closed-door negotiations offered a little bit more, describing them as being both indirect, the Associated Press reported. An agreement was reached to move forward with the talks to continue working through technical elements. We're encouraged by today's outcome and look forward to our next meeting, which will happen in the near future. I don't know why we're even trusting the Iranians to be having these talks in good faith while they're chanting death to America. I'm not exactly sure what Donald Trump's goal is here, honestly, because I don't, you come to an agreement. I don't even expect them to hold to the agreement. They didn't even hold to their previous agreements. So it's kind of like that phrase, you know, you don't negotiate with terrorists. That's what that government is nothing but terrorists and supporters of terrorists, which is why they're the number one supporter of terrorism. And I don't like them. Now, I like the Iranian people. I want to be clear. I don't like the shenanigans that comes out of that administration, if that's what you want to call it. This administration. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you're wondering, you know, Brad, how do you have so much energy in the morning? How do you do it? You wake up at 4:30, you go to bed at Lord only knows what time. How do you do it? How do you bring the energy and the shenanigans here on the Bald Brad Show? Well, folks, you know how. Oh, you know how. You know what's filling this mug. You know what's giving me a soupy. That is 1775 coffee, wetting my whistle, touching my palate, and giving me the energy. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee yourself, folks? Well, now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. They're doing 1,000 units again, folks. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and a laser focus. You're not going to crash on this, folks. It's going to give you the uppity for hours, baby. It's all single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic, folks. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. And I know there's more. And a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. Folks, that's $170 worth of coffee and gear. Yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble and our podcast here. You guys are buying it up like it's freaking, water. Wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. It is, which is why I drink it. I love coffee. I drink multiple cups a day, folks. This is a brand that you're going to love. And you guys have reciprocated in that by buying it and saying you love it. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day off right with a coffee that actually backs what you believe. And we're a morning show. It only makes sense to buy a coffee that we're all drinking together. That's why I made these mugs, because we're a morning show. And by the way, doesn't this look like a mug that you would get at a diner, a patriotic diner? Absolutely, which is why I drink out of it. We only have one mug here. And yes, a lot of you have been asking, the mug is still cracked. Sorry, you can see my coffee. The mug is still cracked right there. You can see it. That shows you, by the way, how thick I make my coffee. I ain't messing around here. It's like molasses. It's like mud. How I drink my coffee. At least you know I'm being honest with you. Here we go. Trump promises immediate sweeping cuts to drug prices in his most important and impactful Truth Social post. I don't know what Democrats are going to do, because Trump is coming out just winning. All you're going to do is win, 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 no matter what. President Donald Trump announced Sunday that he will sign an executive order, which he claims will reduce prescription drug prices by up to 80% almost immediately. We'll have to see if this actually comes out to fruition. Earlier in the day, Trump heralded the announcement as one of the most important and impactful of his career. The president said the order, which is set to sign on Monday, will institute a most favored nations policy where the U.S. will buy drugs at a price matching the lowest rate paid by other countries. The announcement did not detail how Trump plans to implement his plan or achieve such rapid savings. That's my question. The White House plans to pursue discounts on a selection of drug purchased through the Medicare federal health insurance program, Politico reported earlier this week. So we'll have to see what really comes of that one. I don't know how he's going to do that through an executive order, but attempts to lobby congressional Republicans to include similar provisions in a spending bill reportedly fell flat. Ultimately, Trump and House Republicans were not in agreement on a drug pricing measure. Now, I like this is just a politician problem. They're all in bed with these freaking pharmaceutical companies. They are all receiving money from these pharmaceutical companies, which is probably why he can't get Republicans or really Democrats to budge. Now, Democrats come out and say, well, their drug prices are so expensive. Medical stuff is so expensive. Yeah, but you guys are also receiving a bunch of money from these psychos over there in the prescription drug industry. So I don't want to hear it from any side. You're all freaking bought off. Americans tend to pay more for prescription drugs than peers in other wealthy countries, where many governments set single prices for treatments based on analyzing therapeutic benefits and prices paid by other nations. A 2024 RAND report found that prescription drugs in the U.S. are nearly 3 times higher on average than those in 33 other countries. So again, we're taking the shaft. We're taking it from behind constantly while everybody else gets free defense from us. I don't want to say free defense, but we'll put that in air quotes. We're paying for the defense. And they get better prescription drugs. They get better everything. And so we get screwed once again. Trump's attempted a similar drug price initiative in 2018 during his first term, though it was opposed by a pharmaceutical industry. A last-minute attempt to revive the idea in 2020 as Trump was leaving office was later rejected in federal court. Now, even though the Trump administration and campaign reportedly published, then deleted a 2023 campaign video pitching the idea, once again, the proposal appears to be back in some form for a 4th time. So, 3rd time wasn't the charm. I don't know. 4th time's going to be the charm. Let's see. Now, I don't know why I said charm, but it just sounded good coming off the tongue. I don't know what it is. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, folks, I know a lot of people ask you to do this, but it really does help. If you have your phone and you're listening to us at work, which a lot of people do, hit that like button. It does support us. If it didn't, I wouldn't even bother asking you to do it. I'm not going to waste your time asking you to do something that wouldn't benefit the channel or all of us, because we want to grow our community here. We want more patriots to have fun with all of us and go over the news every single morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, it is rude for me to drink in front of all of you. I will be fair on that, but many of you don't realize that I talk endlessly throughout the day. So I leave here, I get dressed in a suit in about, 5 minutes or less, and I go straight to work. And I go talk do 75 minutes times 4. That tells you how long I talk throughout the day. And then sometimes we come back and we do more podcasts like Dark MAGA every Tuesday, Thursday. Also, starting Thursday this week, Dark MAGA will be open to everybody. By Tuesday, by tomorrow, we'll hit our hours. So Thursday, join me for Dark MAGA for the rest of the month, folks. For the rest of the month, Dark MAGA will be open to everybody. And if you haven't seen a taste of Dark MAGA, you can see an example of like that. Wow, geez. Wake up, Brad. Hello. Wake up. You sound like Joey. If you want to see an example of what we do during Dark MAGA, we have 2 videos uploaded currently on YouTube that talks about the collapse of the real estate industry in China, as well as how difficult the tariffs have been for that country. And Trump has them by the neck. So he doesn't need to budge on those negotiations at all. It's China that needs to budge big time. Now, China's not going to come out and say, oh, we want to work with negotiations. We want to work with a trade deal with Trump. Oh, so bad. Because they will wipe out their entire economy. They'll wipe out their entire country because they're prideful people. How do we know that they'll do that? They had a little person called Mao Zedong that killed like 30 to 60 million, depending on who you're talking to, million people. And you thought Hitler was bad, and he was. Mao was, some would say, way worse in terms of hierarchy of evil. Yeah, we got a lot of immigration news coming out here. Democrats are claiming ICE agents roughed them up, but the body cam footage, it says otherwise. Oh, here we go. Several New Jersey Democrats, to be specific, claim that Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agents got rough and tough with them on Friday, but body cam footage told a different story. Doesn't this remind you a little bit of what AOC said? Now, AOC wasn't roughed up, but remember how she fabricated those photos way back when in Donald Trump's first term, where she said that the illegal immigrants were drinking out of toilets, even though the faucet was on top of the toilet. It was like all built in one, because our drinking water is the same water that we do in. And she couldn't comprehend how that worked. And then she goes outside in another round, and it's her on a chain link fence looking out. And it turns out it's just an empty parking lot. It's like her looking into the immigration, like, oh, look at all those illegals. Oh my gosh. Wow. And then somebody like blew the photo out, and it's just, there's nothing there. She just completely fabricated it. So that's what they do. They fabricate stories. They pull it out of thin air. Now, we're all aware of this, right? Oh, we're all aware of it. The Russia hoax. The Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation and misinformation. You had the pee-pee hoax tape. What else did we have? The glass water shaking in Donald Trump's first term that put in the 25th Amendment. He's not fit to hold office. The drinking water. Oh, he's unhealthy. How can he do it? He slipped because there was ice that was starting to be created on the ramp after he was done speaking, and he's wearing business shoes. And anybody that's wore good business shoes, you'll slip on carpet, by the way. I would know. I was an accountant. I had expensive business shoes when I was meeting clients. I could slide down the carpet if I wanted to. So he slipped on some ice slightly, and he grabbed himself. He caught himself, thank God. Not like Joey. Joey was slurring through his words, fighting with his teleprompter, hitting a golf ball backwards, falling up a flight of stairs, falling off a bicycle, standing stationary, looking for dead people, conversing with dead people. No 25th Amendment. Now, the list does go on with the hoaxes, but the incident unfolded outside Delaney Hall, a detention facility housing criminal illegal aliens in Newark, New Jersey, as several House Democrats pushed past security and demanded access to and oversight of the facility. Now, we're just doing exactly what they did to us, but here's the body cam footage from Bill. Now, I'm not going to bother saying Bill's last name. I haven't got it yet, okay? So leave me alone. You guys always give me crap for not knowing Bill Melugan, his last name. So here's the body cam footage. I'll shut up. Here we go. Rough him up! Get him! So that's pretty much it, but we had another clip here. So Bill says DHS has provided Fox News ICE body cam footage from the altercation at the Delaney Hall detention facility yesterday. They say that the video clearly shows Representative LaMonica, red clothing, shoving and elbowing her way past the DHS. And I have another clip for you folks with a zoomed out view. Agent to get past the gate and into the property, followed behind by Menendez. And that is also showing Congresswoman McClever screaming in the faces of DHS agents. So here's the other clip. So here's the zoomed out version. Here we go. You see her put her hands on her? You see that, right? Boom! Oh boy! That's what I mean. I'm fighting. I be scrapping. Take her out! Shut up. I mean, that's harassment. No, it's not. So here's the big, okay, so we had the zoomed in version. Then we had, I'd say a medium shot, kind of like what I'm working with here. Now I got the big version. And, well, here we go. Okay, to be fair, that was not part of the video. I was playing that myself. Oh, can that be Tom Homan's theme song? That's the theme song to the Jeffersons. So, you can't talk to the Congresswoman like that. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah, I did too. Thank you. I thought of it myself. My brain works some of the time. So New Jersey Dem says ICE manufactured body cam footage to frame her. All that footage you saw was just to frame her. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, they made it up. They deep fakes, cheap fakes. AI does remarkable things nowadays. Bonnie Watson Coleman claimed on Saturday that immigration's enforcement officials would use manufactured body cam footage to make it appear as though she and her fellow protesters, which included the two other House Democrats that we said, had been the instigators. Oh, you shoving your way into a place where you shouldn't be. Yeah, no, you were instigating it. She said Saturday discussed the incident that took place outside Delaney Hall, which we just showed. ICE operated detention center in Newark. Blah, blah, blah. We had a video of it. Oh, this is even perfect. We get to hear from the horse's mouth itself. All right. Oh, 7 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but let's see what she said at the beginning.
And who was at that protest, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Congresswoman, so good to see you. So, describe,
Glad you could dress up for the interview too. Jeez.
if you could, what happened?
So we were there for a tour. ICE was giving us the runaround. We finally got into a facility. We heard some noise. We came out. We found out the mayor was there, and ICE was having conversations with him. They asked him to leave the facility. He left the facility, went behind the gates, out there with the protesters. The ICE members were talking on the phone. We hear them say, "All right, we're going to go to arrest him." We ask, "Why are you arresting him? He's not on the property. He's not on your property." They ignored us. They opened the gate. They pushed through people. There were several armed guards, and they went to get the mayor.
There were several armed guards. Yeah, it's a facility. Of course there's going to be armed guards. So you have here Homan responding to it. He's not very smart. Homan responds to Newark mayor arrested for storming ICE facility. Trump administration borders are Tom Homan. So now we actually get to the facts and the real story of it all. On Saturday, ripped Democrat Newark Mayor Ras Baraka for claiming he was supporting the rule of law when he trespassed at the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility. Baraka was arrested and briefly detained on Friday for storming the facility. Insurrection! Insurrection! Well, we were just here for a tour. Where have we heard that before? From the J6ers, some of them. I was here for a tour. I had a ticket. No, I had a ticket. I was 6 in line. Yeah, they gave me a tour. They showed me around the place. It was nice. The mayor and other 2 Democrats reportedly rushed into the center after gates were opened to allow a bus of apparent illegal criminals into the facility. We asked them to obey our laws, to obey the policies, the rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over our Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment, that everybody on this soil deserves due process. No, not everybody deserves due process. Not every illegal immigrant deserves due process. It doesn't get due process, by the way, by the law. But they always want to fool everybody. And they say everybody deserves a court hearing. Everybody deserves a trial amongst their peers and jury. Okay, well, is their peers going to be a bunch of illegal immigrants if that's the case? No, because they don't get due process in the same capacity as us citizens do. Furthermore, as I mentioned, if you're a gang member that's committed heinous crimes, you don't get due process. You're just immediately deported and you go back to into El Salvador. I would say back to El Salvador, but you can go there. There's a prison there. Well, look, he's not very smart, Homan reacted to Fox News. The bottom line is that this is what that facility is all about. The facility is about due process. The facility is where we put illegal aliens. This is where due process happens. We have to detain them to go through the due process of sometimes seeing a judge or other processes like sending them back to their country. Homan went on to criticize the Democrats for rushing the facility and putting safety and security at risk for the public, illegal immigrants, and others. You don't make an unauthorized entry while they're moving a bus of criminals into the facility. But remember, it's always everybody else's fault for Democrats' actions. It's always everybody else's fault rather than their own. The border czar said people don't have to support ICE, but they can't cross that line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross that line of knowingly harboring, concealing illegal aliens, and you certainly can't trespass in a facility that's contradicted by the U.S. government to house criminals. That'd be like breaking into a prison, not going through the proper protocols. This creates a huge safety crisis. This is about politics for Democrats, Homan continued. They simply don't want these people removed from this country. They don't want immigration enforcement in this country. No, of course they don't. We saw the last 4 years, which builds credibility to Tom Homan's words and narrative during that Fox News interview. Well, there you have it, folks. That is today's show. Again, we do this each and every weekday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for the Ball Brad Show at 6 a.m. And then we have our 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Dark MAGA. Hope that you're all able to join us. To join us tomorrow, you have to have Rumble Premium. Head over to Rumble and get yourself some Rumble Premium. I don't think we'll raid anybody today. I think we'll keep it kosher. And I hope all of you have a lovely day. And all the links to everything's in the description below. I got nothing to add. So, always love hanging out with you guys. Have a blessed day. Remember, pray for Donald Trump. The man is going to the Middle East. And, we need good things to come about, and we need him to arrive safely. So with that being said, take care of yourselves. Love you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow here on the Ball Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.